Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and today for Friday's video, I just want to talk about wrestling for a bit because everybody seems to be freaking out over All Out. Last weekend's AEW pay per view. Oh, it's too violent! And I'm like, really? Have you not paid attention to wrestling? It is and always shall be, you know, a soap opera in a way. Because you tell stories. You know, you have the storylines. Some of them between wrestlers are awesome. And produce great matches. And you want dramatic stuff on there. So there's a lot of sex based stuff. As much as it probably wasn't the best during the Attitude Era, you saw stuff like bra and panty matches, lingerie matches, yeah. Girls would wear skimpy outfits to the ring. uh, so there's still a bit of sexuality in it and stuff, but it's not as bad as it was. And violence, what they are proclaiming AEW All Out was horrible for. Please. You know that most of these moments there's a number of them that are thought out. And you often discuss beforehand, like, I have a thought for a good spot here. You know, we want to make our feud seem horribly real, horribly vicious. And it's like, they do some discussions, some run throughs when they have time. I would imagine, I'm not in the wrestling business myself, but I'm imagining they would actually have some discussion and run through. Because you want to kind of understand where you're going to go with the match. Who's going to win? Is it going to be I can't remember the name of the words. Essentially, some matches that are meant to show dominance, and some matches you put on a good showing, but you lose anyway. These are often used in the cases of jobbers or lower card talent, because you want someone for your higher card talent to be able to use to win against all the time. Because if you have your upper card talent only facing upper card talent, yeah, you're going to have to put some wrestlers with a good number of losses anyway. So you have lower card talent, you have those jobbers. Yeah, I mean, you usually saddle them with the losses. Now, anyway, about the violence. As I said, they more likely discuss it, I would imagine. The thought of certain spots is like, I have a good idea for a spot I want to do. You know, they don't necessarily discuss out the whole match, but they entertain thoughts and stuff, and it's like, how you feel about doing this or that if they want to, you know, throw in an extra thrill or something. Because one of the things everybody seems to be freaking out is when Hangman Page stabs Swerve Strickland in the mouth with a hypodermic needle. It's like, okay. Have you never watched wrestling? I mean, this is a type of show where they would cut themselves with hidden razor blades. So it seemed like, oh, they're getting beat so bad they're bleeding. I mean, think about this. I don't think they do them anymore, but they do similar spots. They used to have what's called a scaffold match. You'd have the ring, you'd have the scaffolds above the ring. A lot of the time they weren't that steady. And yeah, this is about a 10, shoot, I guess I would say about 10, 15 foot drop. But one thing you learn often as a wrestler when you go through training, how to take a bump, how to fall. Take a bump is essentially any form of something that could cause an injury. So you learn how to take falls. You learn how to take chair shots. Again, something they have to usually set up so the chair isn't going to do that much damage, because no matter how hard your head is, many people are going to take a shot in the head with a steel chair. It's going to do some damage, but yeah. But again, the point is, it's very much like a soap opera. They want to shock you and make things so dramatic and amazing. It's like, oh my God! But yeah. I just, things I've seen in wrestling. It's just, yeah. Hell in the Cell, I think that thing, the top of it was like 20 feet up. the match, the first one, it was you ended up having the wrestlers, the Undertaker and Mankind, wrestle on top the cell. So they ended up going outside the ring, up the Hell in a Cell cage, and on top of the cell itself. The bumps Mankind, Mick Foley took looked horrible. Like they would do some serious damage. But you knew that at the end of the day, it's kind of what they were trained for. Because he took a shot where the Undertaker tossed him off the top of the cell and he lands into the announcement table below. I think most of the announcement tables are set to kind of give when they have so much weight on them, and thus why announcement tables are used a lot, because you want them to break the fall. And then the other shot he took, he choke slammed Mankind, Mick Foley. He went by several ring names, but yeah, he choke slams him through the top of the cell. Essentially, it was the second time he was choke slamming them while they were both up there. The first time he just bounced off the top of the cell. I don't know if they were meaning for him to give way or not. But yeah, even Foley said, I kind of blacked out temporarily. But yeah, he went through the top of the cell and hit the ring. And he said when he hit the ring, he like blacked out for a moment. I swear, that guy has taken some amazing bumps. Yeah. But you also had all these matches, things, dog collar matches where, I think it was the dog collar match where you'd have a chain connecting two collars, one collar around one wrestler's neck and the other collar around the other wrestler's neck. There's all kinds of bad things can happen in a match like that. And then you have, they try to commit these acts that make them look so horrid and evil. You know, shoot. Jimmy Havoc, before he had to end up being cut from AEW because of other issues, he would do things like put a thing of skewers into the forehead of somebody. Of course, they're not going to go deep enough to do a lot of damage, but yeah. Well, really not the forehead, but so much more the top. And you can tell, and this goes back to an earlier point about cutting. You can see when a lot of wrestlers cut because when they get older, like Abdullah the Butcher, you see all the cut marks where they purposely bled themselves. And usually they'll hide some kind of blade in tape or something like that, where it just looks like, yeah, I'm prepared. And they'll put it on top or something. I've watched wrestling for so long. A lot of this I'm just kind of familiar with already, but yeah. Um, I've seen fluorescent light tubes just bashed over the opponent's heads. You know, wrestling's gonna be violent. And when they ask, oh, did they overdo the violence? I'm like, are you stupid? Are you... I mean, my God, man. um, one match is talked about a lot from Japan. Because sometimes in wrestling you have what's called an intergender match. The wrestler now known as Asuka in the WWE used to be known as Kana-chan. Or just Kana, but she had an intergender match, and one of her opponents, the male opponent, Minoru Suzuki. And if that name don't ring any bells or anything, it's alright. Just know that he's sometimes nicknamed the Murder Grandpa. And this one he was when he was younger. So he's a little more stout. He still wrestles, but he's now seen as the Murder Grandpa. He literally gave her black eyes. She said, I want it to look real. I mean, if you have to do some actual beating on me and stuff, go ahead. But he left her like with black eyes and stuff, and you could see him. He was just going at slapping her in the ring, and he really did his best to provide a shoot-looking attack. And all that means is it's a real attack. You know, with a lot of moves, there's a lot of fakeness anyway. But I guess it would be actual shoot attack because he was going full bore because he didn't want to at first. He's like, I don't want to hurt you. She's like, no, do it. It'll look good. So, yeah. And then ECW's whole shtick was violence in wrestling. So, yeah. It was all about doing some crazy violence. You've had all kinds of situations in the ring where exploding barbed wire, the what was the one where they set the ropes on fire? Yeah. that's just as part of the actual ring itself, not necessarily using any weapons or anything. So instead of rope rings, you'd have barbed wire that's set off to go with little explosives. And like I said, I can't remember the name of the match, but it was they essentially make it so that the rope rings were burning. So yeah, and they're asking, "Has AEW gotten too violent?" Please. Again, remember, wrestling is like a soap opera. They want to make that shit as dramatic as possible. And a lot of the times it's like, if they can stun you, all the more. People asking, is it too violent? But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. Anyway, as always, educate thyself. Think, read, study, learn. Someone asks you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I have no sources on this because I'm just telling you a tale all from memory. Like some of you can be little bitches. I've seen it before, you little bitches. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.